loaded and ready to go. How you feeling, my man? You feeling good?
Yes, sir. Take two over here with a little bit less noisy of an environment as the field at M&T Bank Stadium with all the gardening going on behind me.
So let me. I'm glad we don't have the mower this time around for our Welt Rheaume Miami Dolphins report. So I got a poll question out, and one of the things that I've been talking about is people are jumping to conclusions. I'm not saying that you got to fire the guy or make any changes or anything like that. All I'm saying is the mistakes that Mike McDaniel continues to make, a lot of the same mistakes from last year. And my point is, I've seen this story before. If these mistakes continue through year 3, we're not going to have a pretty ending to year 3. If Mike McDaniel doesn't start winning big games, if he doesn't start cleaning up his decisions, we know he knows offense and he knows quarterback and all that, but the decisions that happen within inside a game, he struggles with it. He struggles with it a lot. And so the poll question is, if Mike McDaniel makes the same mistakes from years 1 and 2 in year 3, by the end of year 3, I expect him to be on a hot seat. Fans, media, people will be losing it because the same issues continue. Do you agree with me or not on that?
In that scenario, yes, he would certainly be on a hot seat, especially since this roster is built to compete. So there are expectations. It's not just get into the playoffs. If this season ends and you're the 6th seed and you travel to Kansas City and lose a playoff game, even if it's a tight playoff game, if it's you get the 2 seed and then you lose to Buffalo at home as the first 2 seed to lose, and then you go into year 3 and then some of the same problems persist and you're in the same sort of just middle ground of, okay, you can get into the postseason, but you still can't win a playoff game, and you haven't won a playoff game since 2000. It's 3 years of first round exits. Then yeah, there is definitely a hot seat, especially with the way this roster has been built, where it's exceptional, top to bottom at various positions. Granted, injury depleted right now at a lot of positions, so there is that little excuse built in a little bit, but still, this roster was made to compete, so that is the expectation.
So you tell me now, how big is these next 2 games? Because for me, I got to tell you something. It's hard for me to even think of them winning this game because Buffalo has owned them. I actually think they have a shot against Kansas City because Kansas City, they're really not that good. And I can get Jalen Ramsey to like cover Rashee Rice and then just bracket, what's it called? Kelsey. And, you're pretty much, you got a shot in that one. So talk to me about how big these games are for McDaniel.
Well, yeah, of course they're huge. Now, here's the thing with looking at the playoff matchups. Sure, maybe on the surface you look at, okay, Kansas City, that might be a more winnable matchup based on what you just said, but you don't want to be the 6 and then have to travel at Kansas City, the 3. You want to be the number 2, where even if it is Buffalo, you're playing at home, and then if you're the number 2, then the whole mood is going to swing because you just watched the Dolphins beat the Bills in that same game. It is hard to do it twice in a row against a divisional opponent, but then everyone's recency bias will start to kick in again. And okay, well, you beat them once against Buffalo, you're going to beat them again. And then you want to advance further. It's not just about, okay, we want the 1 wild card win. So then you're in a better position where as the number 2 seed, you would be at home against Kansas City in the divisional round as opposed to at Kansas City in a wild card round. And then if you win that one, you're at Baltimore in the divisional round as a 6th seed anyway. So the ultimate goal would be to get as many home games as possible and then make that at Baltimore trip as deep into it as possible, which would be, if you're the 2 seed, going over there for the AFC Championship game. So as appealing as it may look a little bit on the surface to play the Chiefs over the Bills in that scenario, you can't think that way because you want the best path to go as deep as possible and then into that. And then you never know what could happen with Baltimore in a divisional round playoff game. Someone could go down. They're facing different circumstances deeper into the postseason than they might end up just resting this week 18, and then they have a wild card round bye anyway. So they'd be rested going into a divisional round game anyway.
All right, hindsight's 2020, as always. right? And that's what we are. We're hindsight experts, correct? This is something that nobody in the media is talking about. I think it's an interesting storyline. Maybe you might want to address it. Tyreek Hill, fantastic player, phenomenal player, franchise type player, MVP caliber type player, but huge Kim Kardashian butt. Okay? Now, in fact, let's go Nicki Minaj, huge butt. Nicki's butt is bigger than Kim's, actually. So
I have a feeling you don't like this butt as much as you like those.
Well, I like those butts. I have no. I like those butts, and I cannot lie.
Not the one for Tyreek Hill that you're about to say.
No. But this is something that it's not Tyreek's fault.
Okay.
It's kind of Mike McDaniel's fault to a certain extent, but now he can really see it, and so can I, and so can you. Maybe you don't. Maybe you disagree with me. Maybe others disagree with me out there. It's beautiful to try to go for 2,000 yards. It's great. But now what we've learned is, one, it puts a burden on the player. You wear him down like he is worn down. And two, Tyreek Hill cannot handle the load. Why? Because Tyreek Hill makes way too many mental errors. He drops too many footballs. In fact, he drops too many touchdowns. In 2 years, he's dropped too many touchdowns. And so one of the things that I think has come to light here is it's great for the individual accomplishments. Oh, yeah, let's go for 2,000 yards. But look what it's gotten you. You have dialed your quarterback into a point where he's forced to throw it to him because your offensive coordinator's forcing him to throw it to him. You have worn him out now. He is not healthy at all. I mean, shit, I thought he wasn't going to get up one moment in the game this past week. It was like he was struggling just to get up, and you could tell he's hurting. And he makes too many mental errors with drops and stuff like he did this week again. So, and the aforementioned Kansas City that you might play in the playoffs, all by himself, he lost that game. You know what I'm saying? Is the workload too much for Tyreek Hill?
Well, he already does take a lot of snaps off in game, so it's not like he's not a wide receiver that's out there every play. If you go through snap counts, you'll see that as far as for a number one receiver goes, that there are a lot of plays where he's off the field. Oftentimes it's running plays. Sometimes that could be a little bit of a tell. They don't want him on the field during running plays. But if you go by yards per.
When he's on the field, you're going to him. That's the problem.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's a large workload as far as if you ever look at like targets per snaps. I mean, I haven't seen that as an actual stat, but if you ever came up with that, I'm sure he would by far and away lead everyone. So, and I mean, because when you have an athlete like Tyreek Hill, yes, you do want to go to him. But yeah, you mentioned the drops, critical one against Baltimore, the deep one that would have been 92 yards, 93 yards, whatever it was against Dallas. Boy, I mean, he could have a chance at 2,000 if he just had those
against Kansas City. Deep one against Kansas City. He put it right in his hand.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know some of them. It's like I mean, he's a very fast receiver. He's faster than mostly everybody. So sometimes, when you're moving fast, it is hard. It's a little bit more difficult of a catch than a slower target. You're not moving as quickly with the ball coming at you. Some of those, though, like over the top or when he's wide open in the end zone for that touchdown in the back of the end zone against Baltimore, that's not that much of a factor for those specifically. So. I do understand some other drops when he's coming back on a ball and he's just running full speed. That makes the catch more difficult, but those are just inexcusable. I know the one against Dallas, it's a little bit over his back shoulder. He's got to turn a bit, but still one that he has made, one that he should make. And it was costly, 92 yards. He'd be at the number he'd be right now. And then, obviously he had to miss the Jets game, but he would have a chance.
Oh, he'd have 2,000 yards already. If he hung on to certain balls, he would already have 2,000 yards. He would be there pretty close. If not, he'd be like right knocking on the door. But he's left a couple hundred yards on the field, unfortunately, because he did not catch the ball, And I mean, this week, Claypool and him, they drop passes, they drop touchdowns. You cannot do that, dude. You just cannot do that. And that's where I think that you have to take a step back if you're McDaniel, and you have to say, hey, Tyreek, I know you want 2,000 yards and all that stuff. Not this year. This year, we're already done with the year. We got 2 games left, I think. And, next year, it's how you handle this. That's why I'm saying he's got a lot to learn, bro. He's got to learn a lot by next year. He's got to figure out, would you bring in a consultant for him?
Consultant. Well, I mean, I feel like we've seen some steps in maturity from Tyreek Hill this season. I mean, he had a moment in midseason.
I'm talking about for McDaniel.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. We're shifting to McDaniel. Consultant for what, like in-game decisions or?
Yeah, like a guy, like a former head coach that he can lean on, and the former head coach can, sit there and go, so why'd you hurry the play up with 2 minutes left in the first half? Why did you have to do that? You put your quarterback in a bad position. You ended up with a turnover. You're at their 42-yard line. You have 2 whole minutes. Why are you hurrying this play up?
Yeah, some type of game management.
There has to be an intervention with him.
Yeah.
Actually, people like Mackenzie, Allen, and Greer and Garfinkel have to hey, Mike, can we talk to you here a second? So that's what I'm saying. Maybe he needs a mentor, somebody he can, have a conversation with every week, and the guy can tell him about things I'm watching, that I'm seeing, that I'm going, why are you doing this? I'll give you another one. You're down by 20-something points. Why are you going for the 2-point conversion? Why, bro? You don't need the 2 points right now. You need the point so you can get an extra point closer. Now you missed the 2-point conversion. Now you're down an extra point. And it's such a overwhelming deficit that's just like another depression that you added to it. That's bad coaching going for the 2-point conversion in such an early part of that deficit. He needs a lot of guidance.
I'll tell you that one because let me just make sure I got the score right. When it was 35-13, so then 35-19 when they got to 6. So at that point, 16. So his mindset is he looks at these comebacks in like far in advance. Is that if you get the 2, now you are at 35-21 at 14. He wants to go for 2 on the next one. So then you're the same way Mike Vrabel did against them. At that point, you're down 6 and you're going for the win with another touchdown. Right. And then you need another 2 if not.
Well, but you shouldn't even be thinking that at that moment you don't need the 2. You just take the 1, and then that still puts you 15 points behind. You're still going to need the 2-point convert, but you still need 2 more touchdowns. You have half the third quarter left, the entire fourth quarter left. Your defense might get a pick 6. You don't know how the rest of the game is going to develop. Why go for the 2 at that moment? It's like the week before. You don't take the 3 points early, and then at the end of the game, you have to drive for 3 in order to decide the game. You would have already had the 3. You know what I mean? It's just there are things that he does that just make no sense to me. And at that moment, there was no reason to go for 2. You're so far behind. Take the 1 now. As you get closer, then you can go for the 2. And if you wanted to do what you were talking about, then the next 2 scores, you go for 2. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's why he wanted access to that, whether he gets the 2 or not. So then you let the rest of the game determine. So then he was down 16 without it. Still
forced to. Now you're forced.
Now you need the 2. The rest of the way. No, yeah. I mean, there's always going to be a give and take on those. So in his mind, he felt the benefit outweighed the drop off. A lot of people traditionally would view it the same way you do, and then at the end, it's a moot point if you don't even end up scoring the 2 touchdowns anyway. But just on the point of like the
common sense, like me, you take the point this week, you take the 3 points last week. I mean, it's just common sense, bro.
Yeah,
common sense. Take the points, bro. He did this a few weeks back when he was on the road and I forgot what game it was, and he did the same shit again. And it was like, yo, dude, you're on the road. Take the points.
I think in week 4 at Buffalo. I feel like we had this conversation in week 4 at Buffalo.
Maybe. I'm not sure. I forgot what it was. That far ago? Wow. I thought it was maybe 6 weeks ago or 6 weeks ago. It was that long?
There was one decision like that in that game.
Yeah. I remember there was a road one where it's like, yo, dude, you're on the road. Take the fucking points. And that's where I now the thing is, would he accept some kind of guidance? That may not be in his ego.
Well, I don't look at Mike McDaniel as someone that has sort of that much of an ego as far as listening to people in the room. Because, I mean, I think he hired a defensive mind like Vic Fangio, who is much older than him, much more experienced. That some people could question, could a young coach handle maybe the ego in that direction of a defensive coordinator that's been around this long? So, I think he's a former head coach, Fangio, and he likes having that type of experienced guy on the other side of the ball. Let him handle the defense. So, I don't think he's sort of scared of having that sort of dominant voice in the room either. But as far as a game management consultant, that could be a good thing for him, because also the challenge is he's 2 of 12 now on his career. It's 2 seasons now. He was 1 of 6 last year. With the latest missed challenge, he's 1 of 6 this year. That's 2 of 12 total. So maybe a better process needs to happen on those challenges. Actually, ask him honestly.
He's really 1 of 13.
Right. Yeah, you mentioned there. Because the other one was a special teams one that Danny Crossman just knew they had the
he won a challenge by accident because Danny Crossman, his useless special teams coach, which he kept, another bad decision. Had 10 men on the field, not 12. So the man that was running off the field was the 11th man.
Right, the 11th coming off the 10.
Tells you when somebody's running off the field, you assume it was the 12th man because you can't count them so quickly, because none of us really do that. And neither does the coach, by the way. And so he throws a flag, and by luck, he won that challenge. So really, in 13 challenges, he's really won 1, which is, pretty sad on its own. By the way, on the ego thing. So what was his reaction when you said, why don't you give Tua a little bit more leeway to call plays?
Why don't you give Tua a little more leeway to call plays?
Yeah, audibles and all that. And then what did he say? What did he say? What was his response? Do you remember? Because I remember vividly.
All right, wait. There's a specific moment you're talking about here.
When earlier in the season, do you give your quarterback the ability to call anything inside or whatever? Because he really only gives them a check with me, which is a run pass or a pass or a run or whatever, but it's only one play off of that. That's all he gives to him. So we remember it was asked like, hey, would you give your quarterback, the ability to change any play? And then he would go, well, then what am I here for? You don't remember? Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and find that one. Yeah, now it's
Go back and find it.
You remember when it was?
It was
You remember when it was?
Easily early part of the season.
Early part of this season, okay.
Maybe in the preseason or something. I don't know, but it was
okay.
At one point or another, just there's some kind of conversation in your notes somewhere about, Tua calling his own plays or do you do that? And then you'll see his reaction. Like, it was funny, it was like, well, then what am I here for? You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. So he didn't use an attitude about it. He used his normal humor to kind of, what's that called? Disarm everybody. It's like Pat Riley was the best at that. Pat Riley could disarm the media better than anybody in the world. You would be there sitting there waiting for Pat. Okay. All right. We got to ask him why he screwed up here. Why did he do this? And Pat Riley comes in and he'll sit down and he'll go, no, I screwed up here. I did this and I should have done that. And he just disarms your ass right away. He knows exactly what you're going to ask him and he'll right away. and you're like, shit, dude.
There's also a credit over there to Tim Donovan. Great PR leader. Yeah, right. Yeah, he's a man.
Him and Rob Wilson. Oh, are you kidding? And Nick, their PR staff is the highest level PR staff that exists in sports, dude. Those people are top notch, bro. Top notch.
Yeah. Phenomenal group of guys. But hey, I give Mike McDaniel a lot of credit for the same way he comes in prepared and ability as a young coach, head coach that now he's 2 years into those types of settings. And he disarms the media in a similar way where you ask him a tough question and then it'll be sort of that patented humor that, a joke that either he came in like knowing he's going to use for that question, or sometimes it's like it's got to be on the spot. There was no way he thought of that before. There was no way he could have been prepared just to say it. And then he gets a laugh out of you, and then you're already like in a different state.
Ira's coming up, but Riley was a master at that. Absolute master. He was always playing chess. He knew exactly where we were going to come from at one point or another. Ask him questions, and he could disarm us right away with that stuff. Overall. All right. What's your gut tell you about this week, early part of the week with Miami? Ooh. What do you think against Buffalo?
Yeah.
I'm giving them a 5% chance, really, to be quite honest.
5% chance.
Yeah, a 5%. That any NFL team gets 5% because any team can win on any given day. It is true.
So you have them that low. You have the minimum percentage that you can give a team going into a game.
Yeah, pretty much, because unfortunately the head coach has not shown me a difference maker in these kind of games. And, like the guy I got coming up, he follows a guy that guy's a difference maker. See, Eric Spoelstra could beat anybody with anybody. Eric Spoelstra is like Shula and Bum Phillips. You know what Bum Phillips said about Shula one day, right? He can beat hisin with yoursin and yoursin with hisin. That's Eric Spoelstra. You know what I'm saying? Mike McDaniel's not that guy. He can't beat hisin with yoursin and yoursin with hisin. Can't do it.
I like that. That's like a friend of mine growing up that was really good at Madden. He would beat your ass in the first half, and then he'd say, all right, let's switch teams. And then he'd make a comeback on the lead that he had just established and come all the way back with the guys you were losing with. Right. All right, my gut feeling.
As an old guy, I love that I can reference Spo to Shula now. I fucking love that. Because I always go back to Shula. I always have to go back to Riley. I have to go back to Ron Frazier. Now I've got Larinaga and Spo. You know what I mean? Yeah. I got like newer references because young kids are like, well, dude, I didn't watch Riley. I didn't see Ron Frazier. In fact, who the hell is that? You know what I mean? Like, they don't know the Wizard. So I love that I have younger references now because before I didn't have them.
Boy, it just hit me hard right there that you said young kids haven't watched Riley. And I'm like, oh, shit, that means I'm old now because I watched a lot of Riley.
Yeah, you watched Riley.
Coaching, yeah.
Watch Riley. They didn't see Ron Frazier. They didn't see Don Shula. They don't know those monsters. You know what I'm saying? They only know now Spo and Larinaga. Those are the monster coaches in our town right now. Those are the guys. All right, quickly, I got to go to Ira. What do you got? You think they're going to win this week?
All right. The easy path would be to say that they cannot win after what we just witnessed on Sunday in Baltimore. But this team has also bounced back from every loss. They're at home. The Buffalo Bills haven't looked that impressive for recent weeks, squeaking by the Chargers, just barely beating the Patriots. So I'm not overly impressed with them. The Bills have been splitting with the Jets and the Patriots in the division. It would be embarrassing if the Dolphins are the one team to get swept by Buffalo. I think somehow they pull it out, knowing that this is a roster that should be number 2 and winning the AFC East. And I feel like maybe we know that it's Pittsburgh because they'll be playing on Saturday. And then that's the matchup if they win instead of a rematch against Buffalo. We'll know the exact scenario once we go into Sunday night. I have them pulling out somehow, even without Chubb and maybe X is out. I have them pulling out a close one. And the Dolphins end up getting the 2 seed and winning the AFC East.
Call our friends at Welt Rheaume. They got an office in Hollywood. They also have an office in the Keys, folks. Okay. And I know we're done with hurricane season. So save the number 954-966-4646. But we're not done with storms. And as you've noticed, you can get hit by a storm that all of a sudden brings a ton of water. Okay. And then we got water damage. So if you have homeowner property damage, condo damage, please call Welt Rheaume if you're dealing with business owner claims, commercial litigation, personal injury, bankruptcy. Call Welt Rheaume. They are phenomenal. They did great work for us. They crush Progressive. 954-966-4646. David, thank you, my brother. We'll catch up later in the week, my friend. Appreciate you.
Sir. Thank you.
You got it. All right. Let's do it. Welt Rheaume. And coming up, it is Ira Winderman and our Acura Pembroke Pines Miami Heat and NBA report.